The RWBY Volume 6 trailer recently dropped, and in it we got a sneak peek for what's to come to this volume. Now, nothing I say here is confirmed, but we are going to be taking a look at what we can to speculate about what's possible. So, the entire trailer is being narrated by Salem. Her exact words are, "It's important to not lose sight of what drives us: love, justice, reverence. But the moment you put your desires before my own, they will be lost to you." This isn't a threat, this is simply the truth. Based on what the trailer showed us, and considering that Cinder is out of the immediate picture, Emerald is the sort of target of the message. We saw how word of Cinder's death affected her, and as we learned, Emerald wasn't there for Salem, she was there for Cinder. So if Emerald doesn't seek any sort of revenge with the help of Salem, she in theory would have no reason to stay. Emerald never seemed comfortable there. Many people speculated that it was because she was fighting for the wrong side. She is meant to eventually become a good guy. I'm not necessarily on board with the Emerald turns good idea, but I don't believe she wants to stay. Judging by Salem's message, Emerald is either trying to get out, or she does want revenge for Cinder while Salem doesn't. If that's true, that would put Raven's warning about Ozpin and Salem into effect by saying that everyone is just a mere pawn to these two, and the moment that you're not useful, not a second thought is given to you. If I had to place my bets on one of these two, I would think that Emerald wants out. In the images that we saw, she's definitely more frightened than she was angry. I think that if she was after vengeance, she'd have looked a bit more angered. Then you had Adam, and let me tell you one thing right now. At the end of his character short, we know he took off the mask and left it behind, and I said, hey, maybe he's got more masks that he can put on. And based off this trailer, I was not wrong with that statement, because he's wearing his mask again. Anyway, so Adam. Maybe this is a bit of a presumption, but I think it's safe to say that he's done with the White Fang. I questioned whether or not there was still a faction or portion of the organization that would follow him after Haven, but based off this, that question is not relevant to Adam. There still may be a portion who want to follow his lead, but from this it seems like Adam wants to stand alone. This is almost worse for everyone involved, because at first it was like, yeah, he'd kill humans, but the Faunus were relatively safe because they were what he fought for. But now, Blake has sort of pushed him to a point where everyone is on the chopping block. I do like it because Adam is very aware of what's happening. At first he thought all humans saw Faunus as monsters, but because of Volume 5, the Faunus now turned on him. So now it's like, if humans see him as a monster, and Faunus see him as a monster, everyone sees him as a monster. He's got no allegiance. The only possible allegiance that can now form is with Salem, because she kind of is a monster. I personally wouldn't want that. I think Adam would remain at his coolest if he were a wild card who threw down with heroes and villains alike. It's him against the world, but I don't think that'll happen. So should be an interesting Adam we get this volume. Then we get to Team RWBY. Let's start placing these events as they logically make sense. Volume 6 it seems like is going to start in Mistral. Sun was nowhere to be seen in this trailer, leading us to believe that he's being sidelined and staying in his kingdom of Mistral, or potentially going back to Menagerie to help. So now you're left with Team RWBY, the remnants of Juniper, Oscar, and Crow, who are now off to Atlas. How are they going to get to Atlas? By train, of course. This whole indoor area, I'm sure it's just where they get tickets. I'm almost positive that absolutely nothing dramatic is happening here. I'm pretty sure RWBY is just excited and dramatic music is just put over it to make it seem like something was happening. So they get their train tickets and are on the train where they inevitably meet this lady. But wouldn't you know it, Manticores attack, leading the fighters on the train to defend it. They fail and the train crashes, which is why once again they're walking to their destination. Am I wrong? How wrong could I possibly be in this scenario? First thing I want to address, and it's a very, very small detail, and you may have missed it if you weren't paying the utmost of attention. I am in fact talking about three human beings in the form of Jean, Nora, and Ren, who are not to be seen with the group after the crash. This leads me to believe in two scenarios to have happened. First is that the entire train did not crash, only part of it. The back half, because you kind of need the front half to keep going. So then, Team Juniper resides in the front, being taken to Atlas, while RWBY must trek on foot. Or is Volume 4 again, walking on foot to a destination as teams are split up and we view multiple perspectives in the volume? I'm really hoping it's the first one, because I think Juniper does not actually need to be involved this season. They can be as involved as they may up until this point, but I don't want to be keeping up with what's happening with Team Juniper and the shenanigans they get up to. Once and if this split does happen, I would be perfectly fine with just following the main crew for the volume. But we shall see. Then you have the lady. Why is she covering her eyes? What's with her eyes? Oh great, this question. Is she a maiden? Does she have the silver eyes? What's the purpose of covering her eyes? We've never had this topic of debate before. Hey, you know, maybe she just needs glasses to help her see, but why would that ever be the purpose? Here's my gamble at it. I'm gonna say that the writers have heard the pleas of the audience in regards to silver eyes and how it has never been brought up. And the reason they're hauling this lady around is because she has /had silver eyes, and she's meant to teach RWBY because Ozpin, for whatever reason, is completely incapable of just telling someone a fact. That's my shot in the dark. In terms of the has and/or had silver eyes statement, it's a popular belief amongst fans that Salem and her crew have not only killed silver-eyed warriors, but potentially tried to harvest their eyes to discover a weakness or something along those lines. So that's where I'm placing my bets on this lady. No, or they just feel bad for her and just trying to be nice, but that would be boring. Then you had the more smaller moments involving this group. On the train when they're fighting, there is a scene where RWBY goes into her semblance with another figure. I've seen too many comments trying to implant the idea that perhaps this is Summer? I just want you to think about that for a second. Summer Rose, RWBY's dead mom. They are going to reveal to the audience she is alive during a fight scene against generic Grimm on top of a train. Yeah, no, brilliant. You've cracked the code. I can't believe you saw right through the writer's impenetrable defenses. I wish I were you. I will admit it looks much different to the time RWBY carried Nora. Then their colors were literally intertwined. Here it looks like two separate entities clashing. But I think that's just an animation change. I'm sure this is RWBY pulling Weiss out of a dangerous situation and just saving her life. Just needed to address it. Then you had Ozpin and Oscar. Judging by the poster for the season, they're going to be a huge focal point of the season as they reside in the center of the poster. I can't tell the direction they're trying to take these two. Three things are in play with these two: Ozpin, Oscar, and the relic. I don't know if the merging of souls between Ozpin and Oscar is causing him this strife. I don't know if the relic is driving Ozpin insane, or if there's a third option. Because look at this one frame. Oscar's reaching towards RWBY, but more presumably the relic. RWBY seems worried for his safety, Yang is pissed at him, Blake is ready to attack, and Weiss actually doesn't seem that worried. So why would 3 of the 4 members of Team RWBY have such drastic reactions toward what they would consider a friend? The relic could be acting as, say, the ring from Lord of the Rings. It's doing something to Ozpin/Oscar, but seemingly only him. I've expressed my distrust of Ozpin and his motives, and this makes me question it more. Like, we as an audience just assume when gathered the relics do a bad thing to the world. But realistically, that's just the plot we've made up. Ozpin could have locked them away for his own safety and sanity. Or maybe Oscar's just going through puberty and being a thirsty boy. Final topic. Floating guy. What do you want me to say? I think this person could possibly be the same person as seen in this scene. I think here, as I said earlier, is when we're still in Mistral, and this seems like a high-class member of society dealing in the lower districts. So I think for a small while, Volume 6 is going to try and right the wrongs Volume 5 did in showing us absolutely nothing about Mistral. So I think this mysterious figure following Team RWBY for whatever reason is a very similar thing to what they did in Volume 4 with Sun, but hopefully here they do it right and give us a good reason for doing it. So the flying individual may or may not be this guy. I've seen speculation that it's Watts using his technology to be worshipped as a god. Could be a maiden, as they also fly. Could also be literally anyone else who uses gravity dust to trick people. From this trailer, there's no real significance that this scene holds in which a theory won't apply to it. So we'll have to wait and see who these mysterious people are in the volume. So with that is going to do it for the breakdown of the RWBY Volume 6 trailer. What did you guys think about it? Are you hyped for the upcoming volume, or are you waning on the side of caution? Any and all thoughts, be sure to let me know in the comments below. Subscribe if you're interested in more content like this. Follow me on all social medias, and I'll see you in the next video.